Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, Chapter 26, Text 20. Vishwam Atma Gatam Vyanjan Kutasto Jagad Ankuraha Swateja Sa Pibat Divram Atma Prava Prashvapanam Tamaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thus, after manifesting variegatedness, the effulgent Mahatattva, which contains all the universes within itself, which is the root of all cosmic manifestations, and which is not destroyed at the time of annihilation, swallows the darkness that covered the effulgence at the time of dissolution. Just make the font a bit bigger. Okay. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is ever existing, all blissful and full of knowledge, His different energies are also ever existing in the dormant stage. Thus, when the Mahatattva was created, it manifested the material ego and swallowed up the darkness which covered the cosmic manifestation at the time of dissolution. This idea can be further explained. A person at night remains inactive, covered by the darkness of night, but when he's awakened in the morning, the covering of night or the forgetfulness of the sleeping state disappears. Similarly, when the Mahatattva appears after the night of dissolution, the effulgence is manifested to exhibit the variegatedness of this material world. The Supreme Lord is Satchidananda. He is ever existing. So his energies are also ever existing. We are eternal because God is eternal. The material energy, she is eternal because God is eternal. His spiritual energy is eternal because God is eternal. So we understood that in Pradhan, everything is sleeping. Then the first creation is the Mahatattva. That's the very first creation. That is almost pure consciousness with a slight tinge of passion. Almost pure, but with a slight tinge of passion, because the passion is needed so that the entire creation can become manifest. So when the
I'm
Mahatattva is
sorry
created,
to
it
disturb
seems...
Shilpaji, but we cannot see the screen.
Oh,
Maybe,
you cannot...
Yeah,
oh, you're not able
I
to
have
see
the
the
book,
screen?
but it may be...
we can see the screen, Bhabhi.
You can see it because I cannot see. It's okay. I have the book, but it's okay. It's okay.
Oh, so...
No.
But why can't you see?
Oh.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah,
So
you
Neha
can
and
see.
Sneha.
Yeah,
can
but I
see.
have the book. It's okay, no problem. Not a problem for me then.
Maybe move the screen. Like, are you on the mobile?
Yeah, I
shift it
tried, but it's not coming.
flip
But
it
it's
to the
okay.
other side.
Yeah, I know I did it, but it's not coming. But it's very fine, no problem. I have the book.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Sorry
Okay.
about that then.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
So we'll continue reading. So Mahatattva is the almost pure consciousness with just a slight tinge of passion, is the first creation in the material world. Like Pradhan is all sleeping. So the first thing that is created is the Mahatattva. And what we are hearing is, as soon as the Mahatattva appears, then because everything is going to happen now, all the varieties are going to be created one after another. And so it seems that before it was all dark, but now there is light with the creation of the Mahatattva. Yeah. Okay. So the material energy, she is eternal. Only the manifestation is temporary. Reading on. Yat tat sattva gunam swacham shantam bhagavata padam yad ahur vasudevakhyam chitam tan mahad atmakam. The mode of goodness, which is the clear, sober status of understanding the personality of Godhead, and which is generally called Vasudev or consciousness, becomes manifest in the Mahatattva. The Vasudev manifestation, or the status of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called pure goodness or Shuddha Sattva. That is our pure consciousness. Shuddha Sattva is where we should be actually. But right now we are in normal goodness, passion, and ignorance. And the goodness in this material world is all not pure. It has a tinge of passion and ignorance. And in Kali Yuga, we are mostly in passion and ignorance. So in the Shuddha Sattva status, there is no infringement of other qualities, namely passion and ignorance. It means pure goodness, no tinge of passion, no tinge of ignorance. In the Vedic literature, there's mention of the Lord's, I'm sorry, there's mention of the Lord's expansion as the four personalities of Godhead, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Anirudh. Here, in the reappearance of the Mahatattva, the four expansions of Godhead occur. He who is seated within as super soul expands first as Vasudev. So as we heard, Mahatattva, it is almost pure. It is almost the pure consciousness with a slight tinge of passion. That slight tinge is there, but it's really the purest thing here in this material world, the Mahatattva. So what's happening is, then the Chaturvyuha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Anirudh, they are the Chaturvyuha expansions. And so here in the reappearance of Mahatattva, the four expansions of Godhead occur. He who is seated within a super soul expands first as Vasudev. So the super soul is expanding as Vasudev. Now we are hearing step by step what's happening with the creation, step by step. So the Vasudev stage is free from infringement by material desires and is the status in which one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or the objective, which is described in the Bhagavad Gita as Adbhut. We have, well, some of us, I can say, have a lot of material desires. And because of these desires, we are not able to understand God properly, his true position, because the consciousness is clouded, it's become clouded with what? With the material desires. Now, a stage where the soul becomes free of the material desires, that's called Vasudev stage. That's why it's called Vasudev Sattva also, Shuddha Sattva. And at that stage, one can understand the Supreme Lord, the position of the Supreme Lord. And this is another feature of the Mahatattva. The Vasudev expansion is also called Krishna consciousness, for it is free from all tinges of material passion and ignorance. This clear state of understanding helps one to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Vasudev status is also explained in Bhagavad Gita as Kshetragya, which refers to the knower of the field of activities as well as the super-knower. So in Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, Krishna gives the knowledge of the Kshetra, the Kshetragya, the field of activities, and the knower of the field of activities. Krishna is giving that knowledge in 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So we have to understand that this body is the field of activities. We, the individual soul, are the knower of our field, of only our body. But the super soul, the super knower, is the knower of all the bodies, of all the fields of activities. The living being who has occupied a particular type of body knows that body, but the super knower, Vasudev, knows not only a particular type of body, but also the field of activities in all the different varieties of bodies. So this is the difference. This is the difference between the soul and the super soul. That we are conscious, yes, we are individually conscious, but we are conscious only of this body. I can just say, yes, I am here right now, inside my body. I can't say I'm in your body or in the body of all the living entities. No, that is the super soul. He can say that because he is in the body of all living entities. But I, the individual soul, I'm only inside one body. So this is the distinction which we need to understand between God and us, between the soul and the super soul. In order to be situated in Krishna, in clear consciousness or Krishna consciousness, one must worship Vasudev. Vasudev is Krishna alone. When Krishna or Vishnu is alone without accompaniment of his internal energy, he is known as Vasudev. When he is accompanied by his internal potency, he is called Dwarkadish. To have clear consciousness or Krishna consciousness, one has to worship Vasudev. It is also explained in Bhagavad Gita that after many, many births, one surrenders to Vasudev. Such a great soul is very rare. So here we are trying to understand is that when Krishna is alone, he's called Vasudev. When we understand Krishna, that is the Vasudev stage, and he needs to be worshipped. And when Krishna, when he is together with his energies, when his internal energy, he's called Dwarkadish. Vasudev in Dwarka. Krishna in Dwarka is also called Vasudev, no? Dwarkadish, because he's with Rukmani Devi, with all his queens. So he's called Dwarkadish. So when Vasudev Krishna is alone, then he's called Vasudev. So that is like understanding the super soul position. Super soul is all he is sitting alone. He's not with Rukmani Devi. So this is what at least I can try to understand from here. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that after many, many births, one who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto him. So we can see that one who's actually got Gyan actually comes to the point of knowledge. Where does he come to? He comes to the point of surrendering to Krishna. He comes to that point. And Krishna is saying, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabhaha. He's a Mahatma. That soul is a Mahatma. Why? Because he's surrendering to Krishna. And Krishna is saying such a soul is very rare. Very rare. Not many people come to Krishna. Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita also, that very few people come to him. Because why? Most of us are so engrossed in this material body and in the material world, we don't want to think about Krishna, although he's accompanying us. So he says that very few people come to him. 4 types of pious people come to him. 4 types of pious people. And sometimes these pious people, after they've gotten their desires fulfilled, may leave Krishna. They may leave. At least the one who is with wanting wealth or one who is in distress, sometimes they may leave. But the one who is inquisitive and in knowledge, they generally don't leave. So, but anyway, Krishna is saying that one who comes to him is a Mahatma, and he's such a great soul is very rare. In order to get release from the false ego, one has to worship Sankarshan. Sankarshan is also worshipped through Lord Shiva. The snakes which cover the body of Lord Shiva are representations of Sankarshan, and Lord Shiva is always absorbed in meditation upon Sankarshan. So our false ego is the worshipable deity is Sankarshan. The worshipable deity is the Sankarshan. Sankarshan is the one who's controlling the false ego. And Lord Shiva, he's meditating all the time. He's meditating. Who is he meditating on? Lord Shiva is meditating on Sankarshan. Sankarshan is his worshipable deity. Actually, there is no difference between Lord Shiva and Sankarshan. We have been hearing I think we were reading in Caitanya Caritamrta, that how the position of Lord Shiva, he's an expansion of Lord Vishnu, but he is not Vishnu Tattva. Once Vishnu expands as Lord Shiva, he cannot become Vishnu again. He remains his own Tattva called Shiva Tattva. So he's Shiva Tattva. Lord Shiva is not an ordinary living entity, not an ordinary living entity. So the snakes are representation, snakes on the body of Lord Shiva are representation of Sankarshan. And Lord Shiva is always meditating upon Sankarshan. One who is actually a worshipper of Lord Shiva as a devotee of Sankarshan can be released from false material ego. So it depends on why we are approaching Lord Shiva. Are we approaching Lord Shiva to get a good husband or a wife or a good child or some money or a good house or something? Then those are material desires. And those are in fact gonna put us more in ignorance, make our false ego even stronger. But one who's really a worshipper of, actually a worshipper of Lord Shiva, a true worshipper of Lord Shiva, then he understands Lord Shiva's mood. He understands that Lord Shiva is always worshipping Lord Sankarshan. Then such a devotee can be released from false material ego. If one wants to get free from mental disturbances, one has to worship Anirudh. So Anirudh, he is the controller of the mind. Anirudh is one of the Chaturvyuha expansions, and he's the controller of the mind. For this purpose, worship of the moon planet is also recommended in the Vedic literature. Similarly, to be fixed in one's intelligence, one has to worship Pradyumna, who is reached through the worship of Brahma. These matters are explained in Vedic literature. So the Chaturvyuha, we saw Vasudev. Vasudev is the super soul. Okay, then because the Chaturvyuha is made of these, no? So the Chaturvyuha also are in this material world. How? Vasudeva as the super soul, Sankarshan, he is the deity of the false ego. Then Anirudh, who's the controller of the mind, and Pradyumna, who's the controller of intelligence. And he's worshipped by the worship of also of Lord Brahma, the true worshippers of Lord Brahma. Is that okay?
Is it the same that we have also read in Chaitanya Caritamrta?
That's right.
Right? This is
That's
the same
right. Yes.
thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. That's what we were reading about the creation. Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Thank you for remembering. Thank you. So reading on 22, Swachatvam avikaritvam shantatvam iti chetasaha vritibhir lakshanam proktam yathapam prakritihi para. After the manifestation of the Mahatattva, these features appear simultaneously as water in its natural state before coming in contact with earth is clear, sweet, and unruffled. So the characteristic traits of pure consciousness are complete serenity, clarity, and freedom from distraction. The pure status of consciousness or Krishna consciousness exists in the beginning, just after creation. Consciousness is not polluted. The more one becomes materially contaminated, however, the more consciousness becomes obscured. So this pure state of Krishna consciousness is there in the beginning after the manifestation of the Mahatattva. So the Mahatattva is all like really, really pure, you know, just very, you know, just a very slight tinge. Anyway, here, that's what I had heard in the class, in a seminar on Bhagavatam by Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj. But here, Prabhupada is saying that Mahatattva is, at least what I understand, is completely pure. Or, there's no pollution at all. No pollution. So then what happens? The more we stay here in the material world, the more our desires, material desires, the more the consciousness gets polluted. In pure consciousness, one can perceive a slight reflection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as in clear, unagitated water, free from impurities. One can see everything clearly. So in pure consciousness or Krishna consciousness, one can see things as they are. One can see the reflection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and one can see his own existence as well. This state of consciousness is very pleasing, transparent, and sober. In the beginning, consciousness is pure. So the pure consciousness, here Prabhupada is saying, so here what I'm understanding is Mahatattva, as I was just saying earlier, has a slight tinge of passion, but here Prabhupada is saying, no, it's pure. There seems to be no passion here at all. This is pure consciousness. It's purely Krishna conscious. And when the consciousness is pure, we can easily see the Supreme Lord, and we can see ourselves. We can see the truth, see things as they are. Analogy is given that when water is clear, there is clear water, you can easily see the reflection. So the more we stay here, the more we get contaminated with the influence of the material modes. This is a little longer. So I think we can stop here, and we could discuss anything if somebody had wanted to discuss anything.
So is Balram also, he's the expansion, right? I mean, he expands into Sankarshan.
That's right.
That's right, no?
That's right.
So the first expansion is, of course, Balram, and then, right?
Yes.
Sankarshan.
Yes. So actually, all the expansions come from Balaram.
Balaram.
We were hearing in Caitanya Caritamrta recently, in the 5th chapter. Because Krishna first expands as Balaram. And then all the expansions are coming from Balaram.
Okay.
Except the expansions of Krishna himself, where he expands as for his queens and for the Rasa-Lila. Other than those, all the other expansions, the incarnations, the Narayan, the Purushas, they're all coming from Balaram.
And you say that even Lord Shiva, he's also an expansion.
Yes. Lord
Vishnu.
Shiva is an expansion of Vishnu. So the explanation is given that milk and yogurt. So milk can be transformed into yogurt when we add something. So milk can become yogurt. But once this milk has become yogurt, it can never become milk again. Right? So although they both are milk products, but the yogurt can never become milk again. And that is the position of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is an expansion of Lord Vishnu, but now he has expanded as Lord Shiva, so now he can never again become Lord Vishnu. So he's
that's why okay. Right.
And
so
he's
that's why
called
they have
Shiva Tattva.
Oh, got it. Yes,
I'm
got
sorry.
it. Yeah, I
Got
understood.
Yeah. So he's not an ordinary living entity. He's much greater than us. Much greater than us. And he is Shiva Tattva himself. So out of the 64 qualities of Krishna, so Krishna has 64 qualities in full. Lord Vishnu has 60 qualities. Lord Shiva has 55. And Lord Brahma has 50. So Lord Brahma also is representing all. So we, the souls, when we become in our pure state, liberated state, we can have 50 of these qualities to whatever minute degree that we are able to have it. So 78% of God's qualities, each living entity has. We have God's qualities because we are part and parcel of him. 78% of his qualities we have. And Lord Shiva has 55 of the qualities of the 64. Yeah. So yeah, many people worship to Lord Shiva to control the false ego, to control false ego, and to Anirudh to control mind, and to Pradyumna for intelligence. Were there any other comments or questions? If not, then we'll stop here for today. Thank you so much for listening and joining in. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shilpa Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.